call to order this evening at 5:03. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. First order of business is public comment. So our normal operation is that we offer public comment in person first, and then we will open up for public comment virtually. Start in-house first. Any public comment? Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody there. All right, doesn't look like we have anybody in person with us today. Anybody online, Kevin?
No online attendees.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we'll move off of public comment and we'll move right on to item D, which is minutes. So could I have a motion to approve the April 16th, 2025 minutes? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to correspondence received 4/15/2025 through 5/19/2025. There is one addition to your agenda packet that should be at your seats. So this is one piece of correspondence that was received. I will give everybody an opportunity to just quickly read through the comment here, but do know that a response has already been provided. But just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that the comment was received. Any questions on that? All right, excellent. I will also take the opportunity, obviously, to state again that we do have a correspondence form on the landing page of our website. So please, for any community member that's interested in providing comment or asking any questions of the building committee, that's certainly a great opportunity for you to get in touch with us, and we respond certainly with a prompt answer. So that is certainly still up. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that you still have the opportunity to ask the questions or provide comment as we see here. So move right on to reports. Item F. Nothing specific for me this week on chair report. So I will move right on to F2, which is town council liaison reports.
I'll just share what everyone already knows is that our budget passed and we're done with the budget process and moving on to other work on our strategic planning document. And that's it.
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions for Sarah? No. All right, great. Then we'll move right on to Board of Education liaison reports. Anything? Anything?
Just that our graduation for the class of 2025 is coming up on June 10th. Our last day of school is June 11th. And this will mark the first year of our new high school being open. So really exciting.
That's excellent. It's hard to believe it went by very fast, doesn't it? I mean, I feel like we were just at the ribbon cutting. All right, excellent. Any questions for Kathy or any additional information there?
The graduation.
Oh, and the field, yeah. Well, weather permitting.
Yes.
Well, you have space in the gym now with it.
Yeah, now we have this lovely double gym in case we do need it, which is fun.
Well, you're not like last year.
Oh, that was last year was fun. An adventure.
All right, great. We'll move right on to 1928 Building Committee Liaison Report, but I don't believe Chris is with us this evening. I don't know if there's anything you have or you can provide an update on, or
Sure.
Russ.
Yes, we can take that one. Project moving along. The third floor, second floor has drywall up. It's been all framed out. They're working on the first floor. Things are progressing. Russ, have they started on the addition or just done the site work for that?
The foundation is going in.
Foundation.
The elevator, I'm sorry, the elevator foundation will be next.
So things are moving along. We're very excited. It looks nice. So, working away.
Excellent. Any questions? No? All right. Then we'll go right on to project management contingency report, Russ.
Have a bunch of COs that were processed and we've been going over. We'll continue to see them as we keep working through. These are the items that have been agreed to in the field that needed to be done. We're getting caught up and going through all the paperwork. We're still financially in good shape. High school project, you know. Cheating a little bit on the central office for contingency. We will still need, more than likely need to transfer when we're all said and done, from the construction manager contingency into the central office contingency.
Any questions on that for Russ as far as contingency loans specifically? Everything's going on there. Nope. All right. We'll move on to architect report.
So, we have been, for this is for central office, we have been reviewing closeout submittals, for the central office. Punch list is complete for the interiors and exterior. I think the only space remaining is the vestibule. A few weeks back, we issued the proposal request for adding handicap parking spaces, the secondary entrance of the high school.
Any questions for Archibald, anything? No, all right, we'll move right on to construction manager report.
Aside from the high school punch list that we're gonna finish in the summer, at Central Office, we're doing the site work, punch list. The light pole bases for the tennis court will be ordered on Tuesday. Like Russ said, we're doing paperwork, change orders, and the grandstands are tracking it for June or July delivery.
Any questions on that? Okay, great. We'll move on to owner's rep move manager report, Chris.
Worked with TSKP on doing the punch list over at central office. And with the high school, back punched the items that were done during the April break.
Any questions? Excellent. All right, nothing for item F9, communication subcommittee report. We have not been meeting for communications. Financial subcommittee report. I don't believe there's anything that's not already included in the agenda that we would need to provide an update on coming out of the financial subcommittee report. Agreement on that, I think. And then that leaves us with the financial report. Anything, Kat, that we need to review tonight?
No update on that.
All right. So that gets us all through reports this evening. So we'll move right on to new business. So can I have a motion to approve the following invoice package for Farmington High School as presented?
So moved.
Second. Open for discussion.
So the first invoice on your agenda is TSKP Studio. This is their professional services rendered through the month of April in their typical amount of $42,000. Next is IES. Again, this is our commissioning agent. This is work that was reviewed and approved by ONG that the work was completed in the amount of $3,590.40. Next, we have project manager. These are Russ's invoice, as always, as supported by his weekly timesheets for work spent on this project in the amount of $4,862. Arcadis, our owner's rep, is the next one for the FHS portion of this project, for the work Chris just described through the end of April, $6,635. And then we get into a lot of change orders.
Hey, Russ, you're up.
Ready?
We're ready.
Wait, hold on. Right. All the change orders have been reviewed, sent to and reviewed by the decision-making group as usual. PCO 203, we added a game clock in the coaches' room, both coaches, women's and men's coaches' room, so that when they're in there during events, they can see how much time is remaining. This was an ad coming out of the construction manager contingency. for a total of $8,524.17. PCO 211, this is the ground face CMU anti-graffiti coating. We did a sample behind in some inconspicuous spots to make sure to see how much cleaning effort would have to take without putting the coating on. And it was determined that putting the anti-graffiti on, it did a spot of anti-graffiti coating and a spot where it wasn't, there was no difference. So we took the credit of $12,442.86 from not installing or applying the coating. PCO 226, we added a VFD to the area C shop hood. It was a variable frequency drive for the exhaust hood piping for the vibration and the noise to be reduced for a total of $5,882. PCO 234, we furnish and install an additional knock box in area F. Remember, for $1,047, we've done this. When we did the last change order, we forgot a Knox box to be included in the change order. This is following up to that from PCO 177. PCO 236, place a VAV box and hot water coil in the field house area F. This is under the high school project. It was supposed to be reused, but it really wasn't in great shape to sustain the reuse. So we added a new one in for $832, being applied to the CN contingency. PCO 237, we had to add a relay for safety and a circuit in the compressor shot, and for the compressor in the shop, for $3,477. This is also coming out of the CN contingency. PCO 239, furnish and install a mid-stage traveler curtain in the auditorium for $15,294. This item was eliminated during the VE process in the beginning of the project, and given where we are with the finances, we added it back in and for $15,294. PCO 242, mat hoist conflict in the large gym resulted in a credit of $10,169. The original location would have stored the mats up above the sky wall, and it would have blocked off the core board. We relocated into the small gym, doubled it up, and we resulted in a credit of $10,169. PCO 245. This was to install a fiber loop connection between the central office and the 1928 building for continuity, $26,305. This basically to make sure we have internet connection between the whole campus, and that's what this change order provided. PCO 248, shimming of the balcony rail in areas A through D for $12,336.54. Applied to the CN contingency, so that all the railings could be plumb and level. Last one is 249. We added a motorized door operator and ADA switch at door S61A, stair 6 for $5,302. We got one more. We have a tech, I got it, thank you. Near and dear to my heart. This one is an ad from, direct from the vendor, worked with Matt Ross, worked with the vendor. It's for the kitchen culinary area. The hood had to be removed, relocated, and the proposed TV monitor screen wouldn't fit. So we reduced, it was a 75-inch we got a new 55-inch with a camera. There was no camera before, so as the teacher's preparing their food, the students are behind them, the camera's on the stove, and they can watch on their monitor how the teacher is preparing the food, and this is a direct charge cost to the vendor for $7,445. And they are a previous vendor that we've already used for furniture, so that's why we're doing a direct cost. This would be charged to the owner's contingency as well.
Okay, anybody have any, excuse me, any questions? Need any more clarification on any items? No, all good? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? All right, motion passes. We'll invite on to item 2, can I have a motion to approve the following invoice package for central office as presented? Motion.
Second.
All right, discussion.
So the first invoice for the central office package is O&G in the amount of $876,375.87. Jess, is there anything you wanted to highlight or review in this one?
Nope, good.
All right, so this is reviewed by obviously O&G, as well as signed off by the architect for the previous month's work that was completed. The next invoice is Arcadis. This is for their central office portion of this project, $3,307.80. The next 2 invoices are related to commissioning work performed by IES. These are both reviewed and approved by O&G that this work was completed. The first is $5,326.60, and the second is $4,800. The last invoice that's under central office is from Interscape. This is the furniture delivery. If you remember, we went off state contract for this furniture. It's been delivered, and TSKP Susan Pickney signed off on this at their final walkthrough for the furniture delivery. This is their total PO amount, so it closes this one out in the amount of $180,499.36. Then we have 2 change orders. Yeah, please, thank you.
As a credit, we reduced the tack boards, central, 2 tack boards for $187, PCO2. PCO214, another change order to change the millwork to accommodate the furniture coming up, being transferred back, reduced from the Board of Ed for $1,512. And these are also sent to review by the decision.
Okay, any questions? Additional information on those? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay, gets us through all our invoices and POs. We'll move right on to item 3. So can I get a motion to review and take action on the fee proposal for additional services from TSKP Studio?
So more.
Second. All right, we will open this one up for discussion.
So this is a fee proposal that was received by TSKP Studio. The first item is for accessible parking. This is what Artana was talking about earlier, adding handicap accessible parking spots on this area over here. As currently you have to walk a long distance to come to an after hours event or any type of event that's going on here. So this would add, we're trying to get as many spots as we can. But it would add parking for handicap accessible spots that are closer than they are now. So this would be the design aspect of that. And then the second one is additional systems at Area F vestibule in the amount of $3,800. This was reviewed and discussed at the financial subcommittee, and they wanted to bring it forward to the full committee for full discussion. Upon review internally, and this is what we presented to the finance subcommittee, is we had thought internally that this was something that we felt should have been designed from the beginning and was under the scope of the project, as the vestibule has always remained. So we had a little bit of a discussion at the finance subcommittee level, wanted to bring it here and present to the full committee so that we could take action, and it's what, you know, at the will of this committee, but we wanted to approve both of these to move forward with design, one of them, or, you know, have some further discussion. So Since that's a finance subcommittee meeting, TSKP did provide a memo kind of justifying their approach. I can have Archana say a few words about what they were thinking in terms of requesting this ad service. So I'm gonna pass this way, and that is for you. Oh, I have more. Oh, did we? Yeah. I thought I counted that out perfectly. I got one.
I don't know what to.
Just take one and it's just one page.
I know why we're confused.
Are there more than one page?
No, I don't think so. No, I
It's
just.
definitely different on the back.
It's just one.
It's just a better sheet.
I don't know, that's what I was.
That's what I said, okay.
Yeah, no, it's just-
Well, you had another page.
That's what
I didn't.
Yeah, no.
That's it. Oh, wait.
So, just to talk about this, so if you see in the floor plan, the vestibule portion of the Area F building. So the Area F has the vestibule, the central office and the field house. So the vestibule is basically original to the high school. And what we added was this airlock, portion on the west side, creating this entry exit. So the intent of this vestibule is basically to enter the building and exit the building. So that's the only purpose of this. And this space has heat because we don't want the sprinkler pipes to freeze up. So that's in the base bit of this vestibule. So during our, we had a walkthrough with the owner like a few months back, and there was a suggestion to add like a waiting space, like some seats, because there's a raised portion of the vestibule, so they want to put some chairs. And so that changes the purpose of the space. You're creating the sitting area, and there was concerns about the amount of heat built up because of the tall glazing on the east and the south side. So there was a request to add air conditioning in the space. So if you see, so that's why we went to Coron and asked them to do something, an economical way of kind of cooling the space. So the best way approach was to add a split AC unit. Since seeing the state of the construction, that was the most reasonable approach. And if you're saying the lobby reception is basically a space that's next to it, which is a part of the central office. So since the occupancy, the purpose of the space changed, it became an ad service. So that's why we require the design documentation for Coron to add the split AC unit. So I would just request the building committee members to approve this ad service.
Anybody have questions on that, or thoughts? On that, or we see the distinctions of, we've always kind of gone along the lines of, if the space was included, obviously it's a renovation, that space was already included in the building, it wasn't anything that was added in addition. So that was kind of our thinking coming in, and TSKB is coming forward saying, understood, but use of space changed. So that's the distinction that we're having a
I
conversation.
mean, it was always gonna be a waiting space. That's where you'd buzz in. So I'm confused by that. You know, in the original design, this whole area was going to be a waiting space in that you're waiting to be, you know, you're going to, you know, the spot where you're ringing in and saying, I'm here for this. And we have that situation right now at Town Hall, and it is a heated area and a cooling area. It's not something that would be uncomfortable for someone to be waiting there, a parent to be waiting there. That is where our central registration will be. So we're expecting, you know, more families coming through. So I would think from the beginning, probably if it had heating, it should have had cooling. I mean, that's what I feel about it. And I always looked at it as a waiting space.
I mean, if you compare that with the vestibule that you have at the high school, that vestibule is also a waiting space. It's for the waiting for like a few minutes for the person to be let in. So I think it's the same kind of a setup at the central office too. There is waiting, but it's not like a waiting for the person to sit down and wait for a longer duration. It's only for a few minutes to be let inside the central office lobby waiting area. So
I mean, it would depend on the purpose of your visit, whether it's a shorter or longer period of time to wait. But I would want it to be comfortable for visitors. If you had to wait in there for even a few minutes, I wouldn't want it to be, to me, that would get very warm
Yeah.
at certain times of the year and be uncomfortable.
How much of this traffic is in the summer months? When it is warm, that this is an issue.
Yeah, I would say, well, for central office, the summer months are really busy for us, preparing for the new school year, but with registration now centralized in our office, we're gonna have more and more families coming in this summer.
We also have a lot of like the new hires who are gonna kind of come in,
The
take the
HR.
work and go through there. So you're gonna, you probably see an increase in traffic, so to speak.
I just kind of want to understand those two diagrams. So this is what was the original, right? And so it looks like the hallway was bigger, the space is bigger.
Yeah, initially in the base bit, the circle area, this area was the reception lobby.
Okay,
But then during we issued a proposal request in between, like during construction.
Yeah.
And that's when an office was added and the waiting area basically reduced, but it was still the same purpose. Still your lobby reception.
And web,
okay, so we're not.
Hartford
Or
and web.
the cost is not.
No.
Like trying to fight the,
Yeah.
so the cost is not the change of that space, it's
No.
adding a split AC to accommodate for that hallway.
Yes,
Right,
because
so-
because we're adding
That's still
chairs.
decent.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I'm just, cause I see the change in the wall, so I
Yeah.
wanted to see what we were voting on, are we voting on the wall or like?
No,
Yeah.
air
Okay.
conditioning.
So if you
This
notice.
is, just to be clear, this is just for the design of the air conditioning. This is not for the air conditioning itself. We
It's
need the
for the
design to
design
get
and
the pricing
documentation
for
of
the air
the air
conditioning.
conditioning.
Do we have any idea of the scope of the air conditioning costs? Cause did I read that they had, Kohler Ronan had already kind of spec'd one? If I read that right? Kohler Ronan specified a split system whose size will cool the space for majority of the cooling season. But there'll be peak days the AC will not be able to maintain. Okay, so they're talking about the old system or the installed system.
Installed
This is the supplement.
The install system.
I think, like, from my perspective, is that my assumption that is if you're putting heating in an area, you're putting cooling in that area as well. So I'm thinking it should have been in the original design of this space. That's how I look at it.
If it's an occupiable space, then, but this space is just to egress and exit the building. It's like a stairwell, so you're just entering and exiting. You're not staying there for a really long time, so that's how we're seeing the space to be.
So
I guess that's not how I see this.
Well, the original had seats in it.
Yeah,
so-
if you see the existing, the initial plan, you don't see any chairs in the space.
Well, there's,
Yeah.
there's.
Yeah, that is the actual lobby and reception, that's next to it.
Okay, yeah, no, so this is the new one.
Yeah, the new one is on the second page, but it's behind, if you see there's chairs on the
Yeah, I see that.
raised landing of the vestibule, so that's the difference.
And then there's a clerk's, like, this is still part of the hallway, right?
bringing a chair there.
So there is someone who's gonna be there, the clerk.
That'll be inside.
That'll be inside
Once
your
you get to
central
the-
office.
Oh, that's inside, oh, is that okay, it looks like it might be a counter, someone sitting there, or is that an
That's,
actual wall?
that's a reception.
But that'll be like kind of the
A wall here,
inside once you
and
get.
there'll be a reception.
That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
yeah. Cause
They're
I'm
not a
gonna,
wall though.
cause I'm gonna call that person.
Yeah.
The
That
reception.
person that's
Yeah,
gonna.
that'll watch.
That's,
Yeah.
that's inside your central office.
I mean, there's a security feature to this as well. So at times, yes, there's going to be individuals who are waiting and
Yeah.
we're vetting their reason for coming, all of that. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a short, it could vary. Just like it varies.
Yeah,
in-
it's same thing, yeah, it could vary, yeah, I do agree with that.
The only difference between here and there is you have someone monitoring this entry all the time. Right?
Mhm.
Because everything's glass.
Yeah.
Over here, there's no glass.
Mhm.
So someone could come in and sit and if nobody is at. I'm not sure how you're set up and that's not Ross's area, but. If someone's not at their desk, who's gonna allow people to enter they could be standing there for a while,
Mhm.
waiting for someone. And if it was me, it'd be my was that it would be lunchtime and I'm waiting. But I'm just saying that it's different.
Yeah.
It's the same scenario, however, here, it's all glass and you see, there's a lot of people in your main office always watching. Over here, it's blind, right? There's nobody's watching it per se until someone, if it's like down at our office now, you're gonna hit the button, hit the doorbell, and somebody's gotta be there to look at their screen, the monitor to let them in.
So I guess my thought is that the $3,800 is a rounding error in this project, right? So that's not what concerns me. It's like, what are we talking about scope? Because if we're talking 50 grand out of mini split,
That's
that's someone, you know, a little bit more cool. for like 5, 7 minutes, they're waiting out in the hallway, then I have trouble with that, you know? But if we're talking about another 12 grand on top of this, we just need to have the design in there. That's a little different conversation, right? Because there's definitely more comfort than there is safety built into this. So do we have any idea of a scope of what would get put in?
No, I don't have
Okay.
a number off the top of my head. It's not 50,000. But it's not 12. Wasn't it?
Somewhere in the middle, you're gonna make it hard for me, I can make numbers out of scratch.
Somewhere in the middle.
But wasn't it 31, like from the?
Believe it.
I'm looking at the contingency.
Yeah,
That's what I was looking.
That's what I'm looking
Well,
at.
it's gonna be my next
And the
question.
contingency, and I just wanna make, correct me, you
It's
know,
around
process,
31.
as split AC unit vestibule, 30,788.
Right.
So,
That's already or in the plan.
31,890.
Oh, that's the,
No, that's a good.
And then
That's
estimates
good.
that we're gonna be adding
On top of
on top of
31,000.
this, if we decide to go through with the design.
31,890.
So if we approve,
If we
this-
approve,
there's two issues really at hand.
yeah,
In that we're talking about, it's the whether this would be an ad service, right? So that was one thing that was a question. And then also, or whether it should have been also already included in the original design work that we paid for. And then the second issue at hand is, if we were to say yes to the design work, what is the additional cost we're going to incur based on the actual completion of the work?
and that actual
So I think
cost
we have
is
two
not in
things.
the original, is that right? That
Right.
would be something that we would
All I'm
have
saying
So we
is,
have to approve.
why would we
Right.
spend money on the design if we don't know if we would move forward with that? It's kind of, they are tied together.
The cost is 30.
35 grand.
35 grand.
Yeah.
And is that 30,000 just for that was mini split or is
It's the
that?
mini split and you also have to get power to the mini split. So you have the condenser on the roof, you have the mini split itself, the line sets, have to patch some sheetrock inside. So, yeah, the electrical part is, I think, just to 16.
So that 35 is the actual AC.
Because you have to get a circuit,
plus-
you have to get
Is that the whole package? Is that like the electrical, labor,
Yeah.
the construction, the firewall?
13, two pieces. It's 112 and 113.
yeah,
Kathy, what do you think the average wait time would be in there?
The average wait time.
I'm trying to quantify this, right? And then don't get, like I said,
Again, it would depend. If it's, a parent who's coming in for a PPT and there's another PPT going on and they're waiting, it could be a 20-minute wait. There's a lot that goes on in central office that probably a lot, you wouldn't even imagine goes on. It could be vendors coming in, it could be deliveries, it could be parents waiting for a PPT, it could be families that are registering, which is new to us. The parents always registered at the school level, but we've centralized registration to be here. So, this is new to us. We haven't experienced it yet. This is our first summer, with centralized registration. And then it could be a parent who's visiting Dan, me, or someone else, or, a group that's meeting at central office. So it really just depends on the different ways in which the space is going to be utilized and the different functions we have. It could be for hiring. People are coming in to fill out their paperwork.
it is a nice space to be in there, to be completely empty. So to set up some
It seems like a
chairs
very
and,
wasted space,
it's
yeah,
a,
if you're not
if you're
utilizing
not
it. in some ways.
So it's
utilizing it.
not like it's,
It's not your typical
yeah,
airlock where you go to the grocery
No, it's a
store.
larger.
right, exactly.
We have a receptionist there.
And I
Right,
can
just-
imagine, given the small space we have inside, that we would have them filling out paperwork out there if it's a hiring situation or, you know, whatever it might be. We would utilize that space in those ways.
It's a large space and you go in there right now and there's no furniture and it's, you think, well, what else can we use this space
Yeah.
for?
What was the answer on the contingency? I know we were tight on central office. Do we have room for this?
We have to transfer more money at the end
Transfer from the high school.
from the construction managers and overall project.
So that,
We do have monies on the construction manager side at that later date that we can.
That could cover this.
Absolutely.
the 30,000 or 35 that we talked about is in the forecast. That's included in the number on this contingency, so that is inclusive, that the 30,000 Add-
800 is what it starts.
is not on there. So that would just have to be
And
factored in.
not to do it now. John, you know this as well as we do. In the future, you want to do it, you can add another 10 to 15,000 out to open up the ceilings, to go open up the roof, to get your line sets. Costs will just be a lot more in the future. And I know that space would be used. Exactly what you were saying for.
And I'm just gonna ask the last question. I'll be direct. If we already have the cost to put this in, why do we need to decide it? We've already bid it out, right? You have costs to do this work. So why do we need to design? Is this just to get it into the plan so we have an accurate set of plans?
So you have an accurate
And it's
it's all document for the
Okay.
record.
estimate
The
based on
technical
discussion.
plans, right? They have to change all the technical stuff and the drawings.
It is their design and they have to stamp it.
And I guess, Johnny, I'm looking at it with you, because I know we have to vote on this. So back to this one, it looks like there's a receptionist, so that person's gonna be sitting there probably all day, right, greeting people?
But we don't have I will say, we don't have a receptionist. It would be it's a residency.
We're using the residency clerk kind of in a dual role.
Okay, but it has
So
potential.
they won't, they won't be there always because they might be working with their family and one of these office spaces here or here or here to fill out paperwork or to provide them with information, yeah. Because we wouldn't want to do that out in the open. You'd want to bring them into one of these spaces.
I mean, frankly, I'm not a fan of not having anything cooled anytime, just because you've got a new construction or remodeled to new, it's tight, like. I have a simple duplex and I have AC going into that common stair because you get that stale air kind of setup. So I'm not opposed to the AC. Just trying to understand the design fee, but I get it. So I understand that the docks have to be made accurate and all that. All right. That's all I have.
Okay, I want to make sure with Michael and Sarah on anything that you guys, for that one in particular, I do want to make sure we rotate back to item 1 on that list, just to make sure everybody's good. Any questions you guys might have on item 2?
No, I mean, I don't have what you guys are looking at, but I think I followed the discussion pretty well and understand everything that's going on and why we need this.
Yeah, I'm in the same place.
All right, so let me just because these are tied together in our agenda item as far as approval is concerned, just want to make sure everybody's also really clear on item 1. And we talked about this, again, this is the design fee associated to the work that we know. The honest answer is this was extremely important and one we need to move forward on as far as the additional spots for accessible parking at the entrance that we all come in every time we come for meetings. So anything else there? Anybody want to discuss that when you heard it?
It's right over here,
Right here.
where the
Okay.
fire lane is.
Yep.
We've
The
no,
public
and we've
entrance.
heard this when we've hosted events too, and
That's
yeah,
like
right
go
there.
through here and I'm like.
Oh, public entrance.
Okay, this is public.
We've heard this too when we've hosted events. even our open house or the ribbon cutting, the handicap accessible spots are that way and at the main entrance. And when we have people here, that's a long walk for people that need accessible parking. So, that's something that we've been talking about for a while, and I think it's just something that was missed in the design.
Do we have an estimate on the work to produce? This is just a design fee.
I don't think we have that yet. It looks like it's still, zero in the contingency right now in the forecast.
That's gonna be
It's gonna be significant.
a big number.
Yeah, I mean, you start
It's
messing
big
with
as,
sites
like,
and curves.
You got a
and
straight out
striping.
curve, there's electrical lines under for the site lighting.
Yeah.
We're still working on that estimate.
Do you have a ballpark? Because I could throw one out there. You won't like it.
90,000.
That's what I was thinking, 80. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna come from our contingency.
Yes.
I take what we do in residential, I triple it, usually pretty accurate.
Pretty good.
I'll tell you that split system on the residential side is about the cost of it.
Yeah.
And let's just be clear, that's from the high school contingency.
I mean, right now, we're only okaying the design, so
Correct.
I mean, we have the cost on that, so if the parking spaces came back as some astronomically higher number, then obviously we'd always have the opportunity to say
You
no.
just have,
That's correct, at that point.
Okay.
you have pavement, you have granite curving, you have landscaping, you have high dollar value items, but we'll have a number for it, not this coming bi-weekly.
Yep.
Or bi-monthly, we'll have it in July.
If you approve
Or June.
this, if you approve this is the work that's gonna be done this summer.
That would be done this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to
Get the
get their design and then we put a number, because
Just so we get the,
it's less expensive when they're actually here now than of that.
okay. Anybody else have any other thoughts, questions on this? Anything else we need to discuss any further?
You might have said it, but just for the handicap parking, would that come out of the high school contingency?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yeah, that comes, yep, exactly.
I'm good then.
Okay. Anything else before we? So our action we are taking is. You can just announce and approve. Yeah, then to approve. All right. Okay, so with the motion at the table, we will add amendment to approve the design costs as presented. All in favor?
Could I just ask a question? Are you talking about both of those amounts?
Correct, yes.
Are we combining them?
Yeah, so
Should
this-
we do it separately because they're two separate projects?
That's probably a good, yeah, because they're coming from,
That's a good
that's a
point.
good idea,
Yeah.
good points. So do one motion to approve the
Okay.
accessible.
That makes sense.
Yeah, just for.
Yeah, we
We have to
withdraw.
approve the one, so so I'll make a motion to withdraw.
Yep.
And I think you
I'll second.
All right, so now we're clean.
Okay.
So now you make the motion the way you want.
Okay, all right, so very first motion then, so we have a motion to approve the design fee proposal for additional accessible parking. That works.
In the amount of.
In the amount of $8,310.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. And can I have a motion to approve the design fee for additional systems in area F vestibule in the amount of $3,800?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Great, thank you, everybody. That was great discussion. Good to have that additional detail as well. All right. I think that was it for our agenda this evening. The one thing we do want to mention, though, is that we will be having our first June meeting virtually. I think that's from a timing perspective, we need to do some approvals, so please keep those on your calendar. So you'll see we did not remove that this evening, so make sure you have that included.
And that's June 4th. But it'll be all virtual.
Anything else we need to cover? Or is that it?
No, I think that's it.
All right, excellent. All right, so could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
All right, we will adjourn at 5:48. That's